All right, welcome back, baby. Coming to you live from the beautiful Trade Winds Hotel here in St. Pete and site of the East-West Shrine game. I got a friend of mine now joining me who's an agent in the business, Adisa Bakari.
Big O.
What's up, baby?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my friend. How you doing, man?
Oh, well, that time of year, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Who do you have here at the East-West since you're
Fresno State linebacker Michael Walker.
Okay.
Yeah, really long, athletic kid. We're excited for him. Cousin of Maurice Jones-Drew.
Okay, former client of yours?
Existing
Well,
client.
still client, right?
Former NFL client, now
Yes.
broadcast client.
So wait, you handle his broadcast contracts too?
We do everything for Maurice as well as many of our other clients.
Okay, put your mouth a little this way. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, for those of you, Adiza's like, do you have any running backs this year? Because you're
You
like
know what?
Mr. Running Back.
That has been our story in the past. We did not sign one running back. We still have one who possibly is considering us, but he's currently playing this evening. So I'll keep our fingers crossed on that.
Oh, okay.
But we haven't signed a running back to date this year.
Oh man, if the guy
We got some great players. We have University of Florida defensive end Jabari Zuniga,
yes,
who's we at the Senior Bowl. We have University of Maryland safety Antoine Brooks.
okay.
We have Notre Dame safety Jalen Elliott.
Okay.
And as I mentioned,
The Maryland kid was easy for you to scout
that
in your
was up the
backyard.
street. That was right up the street. And again, Michael Walker, who's here in this game, and then Lawrence Cager, University of Georgia, by way
our
of
boy.
Miami.
Our
Exactly.
boy.
Receiver.
Hey, by the way, bring Lawrence around. We'd like to have him on.
We'll certainly do that. for
Okay,
sure.
so we can have Lawrence Cager on and talk a little Georgia and a little Canes because that's a nice perspective for him. We just had Shaq Quarterman on, who's just a man.
Indeed.
You know,
Indeed.
just a man. I hope he takes that step that he proves to people he can cover.
Absolutely.
Because he knows that that's his knock right there. That's
This is the week to do it.
Yeah. Well, he wants to win an invitation to next week. Because then you know how it is. Those kind of players,
Absolutely.
they explode, man.
That is true.
So tell us a little bit about the guys that you have coming in. Talk to me a little bit
again,
about.
we're excited. You know, we always get the same caliber of person and player every year. Guys who are hardworking, who understand that the NFL is not an entitlement, but truly a blessing. The guys who understand that the NFL will afford them an opportunity to truly transform their families for generations. Certainly players who love the sport, but are not necessarily defined by the sport. And so this
So
year,
what you're telling me is you're going after Antonio Brown.
this year's class is no different from that description. So we're excited about them. Good football players, better people.
So who you picking tonight?
I'm gonna go Clemson. I think the quarterback at Clemson is more proven. That's not to knock the Heisman Trophy winner, but I'm always a little skeptical of the not that he is this, but
The one-year wonder.
wonder.
Yeah.
And so that gives me some pause. But so I'm just feeling Clemson's been there, done that, and I think their experience at this level
How many
will
one
carry
year?
over.
How you're an agent? So how many 1-year wonders have become outside of Jason Pierre-Paul? Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good one, though.
I've followed the draft once or twice in my lifetime.
There you go.
How many 1-year wonders are there that then go on to have really productive careers?
And again, this is not to disparage any player. I celebrate, obviously, LSU's quarterback has had a phenomenal college career, certainly an exceptional season, winning the best, he's the most talented, most productive offensive or college player in the 2019 season, so that's not a knock. But we have a saying in our firm that typically what you are on Saturday is what you're likely to be on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So you find a player who has a consistent history of high-level college play, all things being equal, injury aside, he should go on to transition to do the very same thing on Sunday. For players who don't have that complete body of work, I think what it means for NFL teams and scouts is that you just have to do a little bit more diligence to truly find out if that one exceptional year is truly emblematic of what they're likely to be. And so it just forces you to, drill down more on that prospect to see truly what he is. Is he a product of a system? Can the other years be truly explained away? Or was this an aberration? And I think, time will tell. To your question, not many.
Yeah, no, I know.
Not
I
many.
know.
And so,
And by the way, it's not a you or me thing. NFL people are scared as hell of the one-year wonders.
as they should be.
You know, and sometimes, hey, they drink the Kool-Aid and then they take them. And look, hey, it paid off when you take Jason Pierre-Paul. It paid off in a big-time way. So, yeah. You know, so, yeah. I'm with you. You wanna say-
Yeah, that's Michael walking by now. He'll be on sometimes as this week as well.
Yes, sir.
But don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for LSU, the quarterback. I hope he goes on.
By the way, he's not the most talented. The other guy is more talented. You don't
Take
think
that to
so?
word.
Trevor Lawrence? You wouldn't talent.
Neither of the play. Look, I don't represent either player. Obviously, they're both still playing college football.
Joe Burrow's not running for 70 yards like Lawrence.
I will say this again. Both of them are very talented guys.
Yes.
Clemson's quarterback,
Better
from my
athlete.
naked eye, appears to be the more accomplished athlete.
Yeah.
Appears to be more complete quarterback in terms of all the things you want your quarterback to do, particularly at the next level. That being said, again, if LSU can build off of this year and what's to come is similar to what he was able to put on the field this year, he's gonna have a pretty bright future.
Oh, hell yeah. There's no doubt about that. I think Trevor is just
You're not gonna get much argument from a lot of people about
Yeah,
that.
that dude. I mean, hey, listen. He gets crushed by Wade and what was the DN that hit him? I forgot, but he's on the ground. Dude jogs off the field and then runs on your ass for 70 yards.
That's
and
right.
it just takes over the game after that.
Yeah. No, he's a special player for sure.
That's a badass dude.
And trust me,
There aren't a lot of dudes that get lit up
every
like
agent
that.
in the agent universe will be chomping at the bit to get in front of that kid and his family next
Oh,
year
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So Etienne is the guy, huh?
Again, we have not signed a running back as of yet, but our fingers are crossed.
No, all I know is I want him as a Dolphin. That's what I want.
Hey, listen, you know what?
I
Those
love
Miami
that kid.
Dolphins, you have to tip your hat to that staff. Those guys played outside of themselves for that staff this year.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't have a very talented team.
No, but wait a minute. I thought the media was writing that everybody had quit on the team.
Yeah, well, I don't know if
How
those stories
full
were
of
written.
crap was that?
That was completely no fault.
And by the way, they weren't tanking either.
not even close.
They built through youth. I kept
did
trying
indeed.
to explain to people that the Dolphins are not tanking, morons. They're building through youth.
Well, you were calling
They didn't
it
want to sign old people. They want to sign young guys and then filter. You ever play fantasy football? Well,
I
in
don't
fantasy
because
football,
obviously I play I'm at the reality thing.
there's something called streaming in
Okay.
fantasy football that, like, whatever your free agents are,
Yep.
whatever's available, you find the guy that has the best matchup and you use them that week.
Sure.
And to strengthen your team. And some
Sure.
people are able to win like that.
Yep.
The Dolphins streamed with everybody's practice squads.
Wow.
But it was genius
Yeah.
because you'll unearth a nugget here or there. Not a starter, but you'll probably unearth a good backup or a special teams guy or something. The Nick Needham kid grew up, man.
He did.
He looked
did.
terrible.
I will say
in
this.
the preseason, I said, this was my joke for Nick Needham. I said, with Nick, we don't need to see him anymore. That was my joke with him because I was like, wow, this guy's and then he just kept growing and growing and growing.
It's, to my mind, it speaks to the level of coaching, i.e. teaching, that goes on the current staff.
That's right.
And also management trying to build a team that reflects the culture that they're trying to instill. So no matter how profiled you are before I got here, head coach, no matter what your contract situation is, we're going to build a team that reflects the type of culture we're trying to instill in this building. And if you fit, we want you to stay. If not, we're going to facilitate you leaving.
Right.
And they did that, which is hard. Obviously, it's hard to win football games when you're doing that. And they were still able to play some competitive football.
A lot of competitive
Folks,
football, actually.
Miami Dolphin fans should be really optimistic about what the future holds. Obviously, they got to draft and do some stuff in free agency.
Right.
But, yeah, the arrow's pointing up in Miami, in my opinion.
5-4 in your last 9 games? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm an owner right now, and all 29 teams had way more talent than Miami, I'm sitting there going, well, wait a minute. You won 1, 2, 3, 4 games. You won 6 or 7. These guys won 5 with nothing. I'd be questioning the people around
that?
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because of that, and that's why, to me, I love what they're doing, man. And I kept trying to explain to people that this might be the fastest way to get good. Because you tore down, you got rid of all the bad salaries. You got a clean cap next year. It's a beautiful thing.
Now, the real question, though, is going to be.
Now you got to hit on those picks.
Hit on the picks. But you still got to put your foot on the gas in free agency.
But they're not going to. You know what they're going to do, right?
You
know what they're going to do.
Going with this, but I'm hoping. Look, you got to listen. There was a time in New England where you could rely on Tom Brady to lift everyone up.
Sure.
Not the case anymore in New England.
No.
To win in this league, you got to spend money. You got to get the talented players.
Yes.
But you have to get talented players who fit your culture that you're obviously trying to instill in a particular building.
Amen.
But to try to keep keep your coffers closed and kind of stack your chips, as it were, that'll get you an 8-8 season with just the draft.
No.
Now you have ability to draft early and often, and because you freed up the cap a lot with some of the moves you've made, you have an ability to go be aggressive in free agency.
But I think what they're going to do, Adisa, this is my guess here, okay? Because you're talking like an agent that they need to spend money.
And I got a couple free agents out there, too.
exactly. But this is what I think they're doing, okay? I think if there's a young free agent, a 25, 26, 27-year-old, they're going to kill people for that guy.
Absolutely.
You know why also? Here's what you're going to love, baby. And if you have a young free agent, because the Dolphins have all that cap space, they're not going to break down the salary, the signing bonus over years. And they can give some stuff up front, and that way they don't have it dragging.
And this trumps yours. Your point is correct. But the larger point is they don't have a big quarterback roster salary on the books that they have to carry for. They're going to draft a quarterback. Watch them. Look, if I'm guessing.
And by the way, that's why they traded Tunsil also.
And that's exactly why.
Because they knew that they weren't going to be ready to compete for 3 years. Right. So why the hell are we going to carry that big-ass salary for a couple of years? Oh, you want to give me all these picks? Let's go. That was genius on their part. I'm telling you, I love Laramie Tunsil, but you cannot turn down that trade.
So you get aggressive. You may try to draft a quarterback if it fits in the first round. Do what Washington did a couple years ago, right?
That's what I said.
You go 1-4.
That's what I said.
Right, and you get your quarterback.
I said Jimmy Johnson and Shanahan. Go those two ways because he took Steve Walsh for Trey Aikman.
And so you do that, and then you absolutely right. You supplement in free agency with ascending players.
Yes, not a 30-year-old.
Not a 30-year-old guy.
So Adisa, don't bring us your 30-year-old free agents here in Miami. We don't want your 30-year-old free agent.
Kid who's going to be that bookend.
Okay.
But anyway,
there
we'll
we go. Look at Bill's face lit
up. We'll talk about that later.
It was Chase Young, by the way, on the Malachi Crunch.
Oh, it was? Okay, so Young and Wade were the ones that crushed him. And for that kid to get up like that.
No, he's a soldier for sure. That kid can play.
That tells me you got it, bro. That you're not afraid of anything out there.
No argument from me on that.
So let me ask you something. Let's get into a really hairy subject.
Okay, here we go.
Yes. Why does the league keep screwing minorities for coaching positions? Example. Dolphins have Jim Caldwell, and I love it. I'm glad. I hope he stays. But Jim Caldwell is one of the 16 best head coaches in the NFL. Not assistants, not 32.
Yeah.
He's a top 16 head coach. I don't know where you want to put him.
Yeah.
Why the hell isn't that man employed?
Marvin Lewis.
He wins. Wait a minute, but he wins.
Yeah.
And then you fire him and you hire a dude that's got a bird nest on his face and can't win.
Listen, I will say this. I think affinity means a lot. Right? One's affinity for another person or groups of people means a lot. And it's not as if we leave our homes every day and walk into our places of employment and whatever preconceived notions we have about other people stop at the door. We bring them to work with us.
And we tend to marry our own.
Yes. Right? And so I think that we see that happening a lot. I think the Rooney Rule, certainly the spirit of the Rooney Rule is well placed. I think with the NFL, and by that I mean Commissioner Goodell in New York, what they can do more of or be more assertive, aggressive, whatever the right adjective is ensuring that teams actually honor the Rooney Rule, right? Because sometimes you may in fact be helping a team not hurt themselves by making sure they interview candidates who are outside of their wheelhouse, and that's intellectually or just in terms of perception of what they perceive the right coach or GM should be. You could be saving a team from their own bad habits, as it were, if you simply force them to follow, put some teeth behind the Rooney Rule, right? And so, look, people are going to hire who they like. They're going to hire the people with whom they feel most comfortable, and that's just what it is. It's a it's mind-boggling. It's a head-scratcher why Marvin Lewis, who only takes Cincinnati, who was at the bottom of the league, just takes them to the playoffs every year, and why he's not the first, guy sought after. And the Redskins made a great hire, and Rivera, he's a great coach. But it's a head-scratcher that Eric Bieniemy can't get a job. It's a head-scratcher that you said Jim Caldwell can't, But these things happen, and those coaches are going to continue to do what they do. And
they don't just happen; they're habitual.
There's certainly something systemic about it. Absolutely, I think the Rooney Rule wouldn't exist but for that reality. But look, clearly there's a whole hell of a lot of work that needs to be done still about that. And I think we start to see true change when we see the ownership ranks looking a little bit different. When we see And again, you're spoiled because you have an owner in the Dolphins who gets it. I mean, look at management in Miami right now. We joke.
My man, they got a black general manager, a black head coach,
assistant GM,
and he brought Marvin Allen and McKenzie
all of it, exactly.
And by the way, those two guys are awesome. That threesome there, I think they're going to be one of the best front offices in the league.
We certainly are rooting
Maybe
for
I can be a homer, but I'm
we
just
certainly
saying,
are.
Yeah, but I
rooting
know
for
these guys before they were here.
Right.
I know their reputations already. I already saw what Reggie did under.
And that speaks volumes. It speaks volumes to Chris because, again, the whole I want to be the only chief in the room and I'm not bringing. No, I'm going to bring the best and brightest in the room to right this ship.
You ever met Chris Greer? He's not an egomaniac,
not at
dude.
all. Not at all. He's certainly expert at what he does. He knows his job very well, but he doesn't have to be the loudest voice in the room. And like any good leader, he listens more than he talks. At least that's been my experience with him.
Yes.
And I agree 100% that they're going to right this thing. Look, if Miami can right this thing, and they look to be already on that course of quickly turning the ship around, NFL's a copycat lead on every front.
Right.
And you'll see folks trying to follow that model as well.
Yeah, but meanwhile, there's Mike Tomlin in charge for 10 years. And by the way, I was picking on him a little bit, which I got to apologize and backtrack now because I was picking on him going, man, that culture is not the same. They're not as feared and all that. But now I think about it, how he was able to hide Antonio Brown for all these years.
That might be a little 26,
with that guy.
That might be a little 26 too. That might be some L. Bell protected at the ball like crazy.
Yeah, but he hasn't been there for that whole thing, right? From the day one, was he?
At the time where we started to see the ascension.
Oh, from the money.
Yeah,
okay.
That's when Le'Veon started to ascend as well. And but tremendous kudos to Mike for being able to manage those personalities.
Give him a Nobel Peace Prize, dude.
Tremendous kudos for Mike from a coaching standpoint for coaching the team the way he coached it this year. Which many would say was bereft for both injury reasons and other reasons.
Quarterbacks. He had no quarterbacks.
And he was still able to be a
guy named Duck throwing the ball. Who was throwing ducks.
He was throwing ducks. That's O's line. That's not Adisa Bakari. But it's a good line. But no, great organization in Pittsburgh as well. And those,
I think I heard the ball quack in the air too. By the way, all right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it just speaks volumes to Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert having a belief in a certain way of doing business, and trying to find players who are going to lean in and embrace that culture and want to win above everything else. And so it was unfortunate that they allowed the trio to break up. But
all right, can you just give some advice to your client that when he brings two, women home, don't leave them alone in your house and go work out? What the hell's wrong with that man?
I thought you were my friend, though. No comment on it.
What the hell's wrong with him, man?
Let's talk about his season, though. Let's talk about the first year in the Jets. I'll give you that conversation.
Okay, well, no.
I think the Jets are another team.
They didn't use him right. That's all.
Another team that has a lot of holes to fill, certainly holes along the offensive line, at the receiver position, and others.
I didn't buy that offensive line from day one.
Quarterback out kissing the wrong lips and gets mono or something like that and missed 4 games early in the season.
Did that quarterback go out with the girls that your guy went out with?
I don't, again, no comment on that. But I think when you kind of just pack it all up and just reassess the season, you got to give some kudos to Adam Gase for being able to coach that team down the stretch to win as many games down the stretch as they did. And I think the arrow's pointing up for them as well. And so yeah, I'm excited about 2020 for the Jets as well, and Le'Veon.
I don't know
in his second year.
I don't know about. I think your boy's screwed because no, I'm serious.
Appreciate the vote of confidence.
You don't want to get into this conversation with me because Adam Gase has no respect for the running game. None. By the way, he brought your broken down client in instead of Ajayi. Your old guy?
I never had Ajayi.
No. You had the old guy that shouldn't have been playing. The poor guy.
Who are we talking about?
Who was hanging on for dear life.
Matt?
No, former Texan running back. Wasn't that your guy?
Oh, Carlo? Who are we talking about?
Now I'm brain farting. The guy that Gase brought in.
Into Miami?
Yes. Wasn't he your guy?
No, it wasn't mine.
What's his name, man? The dude
that
he had
Arian Foster.
Arian Foster.
Not my guy.
He wasn't your guy?
Not my
guy.
Good guy, though. Good person.
So he brought in Arian. Poor guy was already at the end of his career, already done. And he doesn't play Ajayi. And then he waits for Damian Williams to blow his shoulder to then play Kenyon Drake, who then blows up for 5 games. And then what does he follow it up with? By bringing Frank Gore in the following year and not going back with Kenyon Drake. Your guy is screwed with that guy. I know you can't comment on it. You're not going to say anything. That's fine. But Adam Gase has mishandled the running game from the moment I have seen him in Miami and the 1 year in New York.
I think Joe as the GM.
I like him, by the way.
As a talent evaluator, and the fact that he's upfront and he's frank and honest with the players and their agents. More than anything else, outside of simply an opportunity to prove their worth, players want to be dealt with frankly,
brutally honest.
Brutal honesty.
Yes.
Right? This is not, rocket science we're dealing with. And so a lot of times, GMs feel like they have to use kid gloves or have to kind of, talk in between the lines, as it were, when dealing with players. Players can read all this. They understand what the business is. They understand, first and foremost, that if I don't produce at a certain level, you're going to find somebody who you believe can produce.
Although, you got to say, those millennials are wired a little different,
They
dude.
are. You got to hug them a little more often than the previous generation. They just need a couple more hugs. It's amazing what Instagram would do to one's psyche. But
this millennial and this Generation Z, woo, doggy.
Ultra sensitive for sure.
Talk about, what's that called? Baggage, brother. Wow,
yeah, trust
man.
Me, I got a couple young 20-year-olds in the house, so I'm dealing with it all the time.
Man.
But no, I think, Adam, look, in fairness, I think he also coached a team that, played outside of themselves at times. They're in some need. They're in some need at a lot of positions. And I think Joe's going to go in the draft and go into free agency and be aggressive. And I think, again, you're going to find the AFC East one of the more competitive divisions in the NFL in 2020. Just with the ascension of Buffalo this past year. Miami's on the come, and I think Jets are on the come as well. Oh, you're going to have some stuff to talk about, man. That AFC East is going to be a juggernaut. And I'm going to tell you what may be.
As long as the Patriots go to hell, that's fine with me, dude.
And we may be witnessing, not necessarily to hell, but we're certainly witnessing, I would think, maybe the plateau.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Of that whole era.
No, we're on the valley now.
We may be on the other side of that.
We're on the valley. Let me ask you something as an agent. This is my theory now with everything going on with Brady.
Sure.
Brady positioned himself where he's got his house for sale. His trainer's got his house for sale.
Is that right?
His contract is up for free agency. He's a free agent. That's it. And they can't tag him.
Right.
Okay. Everything is set that way. I think he did this because of what happened with Garoppolo and the owner and everything else and Belichick a couple years ago. He knows he has the owner in his corner. But if he was still under contract, Belichick could still do whatever he wants, and then he has to settle for it like he was settled for this year. And as we talked about earlier in this conversation, he no longer can carry. He needs help. I think this is his way of leverage of, well, Bob, I really want to come back with you and Bill, but I need this and I need this and I need this. And they're going to have to do these things in order to get him signed. And Kraft doesn't want to get rid of him. He made him get rid of Garoppolo already as it is. And by the way, the fact that he got rid of Garoppolo for the same second rounder he drafted is still fishy as hell to me. That's almost like sticking it back to the owner like, oh, you want me to get rid of him? Oh, yeah, I'll get rid of him. There you go. And he didn't even try to get a first rounder, which I got a hard time believing that you couldn't get a first rounder for Garoppolo. So I'm just saying, I think Brady is never leaving, but I think he's using this, the way he's positioned, as leverage against Belichick to make sure he gets what he needs on this team to get back for 2020.
Well, I'll say this.
Am I way off? Am I just Oliver Stone?
You know way more
or am
about.
I Oliver Stoned? Which one is it?
You're definitely Oliver Stone, just generally. No, that's not true. But you know way more about the particulars of what's going on with Tom Brady and his personal situation as it relates to this final year of his deal. I will say this: whatever leverage any player can muster to enhance their individual position or collective position with the team, they certainly should. I mean, Tom still, look, my eyes, it doesn't mean anything, my opinion, my eyes as it relates to Tom Brady don't mean squat, right? But he still has a lot of football left. Obviously, I represent James White, who's Tom Brady's best friend in that offense, and so I want to keep that duo going for
another running back.
Another running back. But I'll say this, if you put certain pieces back on that offense, right? Maybe you find another do-it-all tight end like they've had. Maybe you get a legitimate, just not to disparage anyone on the roster, but you find a true killer as a number one receiver in the draft or in free agency.
Yeah, because Edelman's a 2 is what he is. A slot guy, 2 is what he is. He should not be a number 1. He's a tough dude.
You go out there and do that. I think
it's tough on Mercedes, too.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I think you do that, and then the Patriots are back to being the Patriots. I think Tom's game, listen, when Peyton started to fall off, we could see loss in velocity on his throws. We could see some of the things that we were so accustomed to Peyton Manning doing. We started as fans of his. We started to see him struggling in those areas. We don't see that in Tom. Tom just didn't have a lot of weapons.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a lot of athleticism. So
the weapons
he's not
matter.
Going to buy anything else for you. So you need to help him.
And so this is and with that being said, the Patriots have been able to have had the luxury of being a Super Bowl contending team every year with not a lot of labor costs, as it were, with not a big payroll. And that's going to change. And I think it's going to change in 2020. I know one thing. I don't know much about Tom Brady's relationship vis-a-vis Belichick and Bob Kraft or any. I don't know the dynamics of that. But I know Coach Belichick wants to win more than anything. I know Tom Brady wants to win more than anything.
Right.
And I know Bob Kraft wants to win another Super Bowl trophy. So they're going to put their heads together and try to build another Super Bowl team. And again, at the end of the day, look, as we go into 2020, that AFC East might be the most competitive division in the NFL in 2020.
Maybe. Yeah. No, you're right.
That's going to be some good football out of the AFC.
Because all the other teams are on the rise
I
now.
think so.
So, yeah, they should.
Well, it's going to be an exciting time.
I still don't buy the kid in Buffalo.
You don't buy Buffalo?
No, I buy Buffalo.
You don't buy the Wyoming? You don't buy the quarterback?
Look, you just said earlier in this interview, you are what you are in college. It's what you're going to be,
and
right?
In college, you threw a lot of balls to the wrong jersey.
And I'm just not a guy that I don't. When you're inaccurate, you will stay inaccurate for the rest of your life. And it's funny because the Tannehill Lamar game, really, they're the same guy except in a different way. But if both guys don't have the running game dominating, they're done because they cannot win with their arms.
Yeah.
Vrabel's genius. Let's use the defense. Let's run. Let's use our offensive line. Ryan, I need you to make a couple of throws.
Where did that running game come from? Alabama has always been big. What's his name?
No. Oh, you mean? But no, I think their line is healthy this year.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they had some injuries a lot.
What's the running back's name?
Henry?
Yeah,
Derrick Henry.
Derrick has always been a hard dude to bring down, but this year he's unstoppable, man.
Oh, but Taylor Lewan is not fighting in bars, not getting injured, so he's there. He's not getting suspended. So as long as you keep him on the field,
they may be a problem next week, man.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But then Lamar's the same thing. Lamar's passing game feeds off of his
run game, for sure.
And if he's not running, which I know he got 100 and some yards, but they weren't impactful yards.
Right,
He had
right.
he had those 2 runs, one early,
a very special
one late.
player.
No, he's super special,
And it
but he's
speaks
not a
to-
special passer.
It speaks to the NFL evolving as it relates to that position.
Yes.
Because think again, when I look at Lamar, I mean, look, Adam Schefter posted it sometime in the middle part of the season. Everybody was going crazy over Lamar Jackson, as they should. His play justified everybody going crazy. But they put his stats as of that time next to Tyrod Taylor's stats in Buffalo, and they were virtually identical. But you had a Ravens organization that said, we're going to build this around the skill set of our quarterback.
Which
and
nobody's done that.
And nobody's done that with Tyrod.
No one's
he has a
done
lot
that.
of football left. Tyrod's going to get a shot again, and watch, we're going to see the reemergence of Tyrod Taylor.
Okay, he's such a great kid, man.
Phenomenal human being.
God, what
an
a
exceptional,
great young man
exceptional
he is.
talent. Again, you build the team around
He
the
was at
talent.
the East West Shrine in Orlando.
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
I remember
10 years ago. How about that?
I remember that because I remember having him on the show.
How about
that's
that?
That's when
10 years ago.
That's when I fell in love with the young man. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, this is such a great kid. Because when you meet Tyrod Taylor and you don't like Tyrod
Yeah,
Taylor,
something's wrong with you, right?
Something's wrong with you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because he's just one of those kids that, like, wow, you just want to root for him
All day long.
But it's interesting, and you know, we talk about the balls that the Miami Dolphins have,
Right.
by hiring a black coach and a black front office,
right.
The balls the Baltimore Ravens have
Yeah.
to draft Lamar
Yeah.
and then to have the guts to build that offense
Yeah.
and say we're going all in
All
on
in.
this, which is crazy
Listen,
for anybody to think.
Kudos to Eric DeCosta in his first year as the GM.
Yeah.
Right? And he really is that. He's running that team.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah,
he
but it's
just-
still Ozzy's vision.
Eric's running that team, man.
I know,
Ozzy will tell you that. Ozzy's in the building
but
still.
Ozzy drafted Lamar.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Eric
it's
was
his
a part of
vision.
that process.
But you know, a little nugget, by the way.
What's that?
You know that Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, which to me is probably the greatest coaching accomplishment ever.
I would agree.
Ozzie Newsome, if Lamar ever wins a title, he would have built 3 different Ravens teams with 3 different quarterbacks.
Flacco.
Dilfer.
Oh, Dilfer in Tampa. Yeah, that's right.
No, well, I mean,
And that was the Super Bowl here in Tampa.
Right,
yeah.
in Tampa.
Yeah,
So, Dilfer.
yeah,
So
that's
he
true.
would 3 different quarterbacks.
No, just
and by the way, none of them great
hey,
as quarterbacks.
that's a whole conversation for another day. Again, everyone wants to say, "Oh, it's a passing league, and you got to go find Tom
No, if
Brady."
you can
First of
run-
all, you're not going to find Tom Brady.
Right.
The Patriots didn't fucking find Tom. Excuse my French, but didn't find Tom Brady.
Yeah.
They backed into Tom Brady.
We're not in
right?
radio, so it's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. Right. But if you do what San Francisco has done,
Right.
and just built a formidable. I mean, that defensive front is insane. And now that I got a plug, but now that my guy, shameless plug, D Ford is back in the lineup, and his edge rush ability. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Jimmy G can play. He can, but he's no Tom Brady.
No.
Doesn't have to be.
He's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback.
Doesn't have to be great in that
Right.
system. And so the notion that we have to find this generational quarterback to win Super Bowls,
by the way,
that's
what
one of
does-
the biggest misnomers out there.
What does Shanahan do for Garoppolo?
Yeah.
He runs.
Tevin Coleman, another shameless plug of mine, another running back.
Okay, Coleman, Mostert,
Yeah.
and there's
Breida.
and Breida. 3
Yeah.
guys.
Three-headed
That
monster.
he comes at you.
Yeah. And then the play action pass is there
By the
all
way,
day long.
his dad.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
Same
the
thing.
mastermind.
Same thing.
You know,
Which is why it's so cyclical this business is, man, this league is. Because we're going to see in 2020 the whole notion that we're 70% passing. No, you're going to see folks, defense wins, or offense wins games, defense wins championships. You're going to see just defensive acquisition in free agency and in the draft over and over and over again. And we're going to be back at a point where all the sexy picks and all the fancy high-flying ball going all over the park all day long. No, you're going to see boring defensive linemen being drafted after lineman after lineman, boring free agent transactions being done that are all defense-centric, building that championship defense with the understanding that if we have a ball-controlled play-action offense with a championship-level Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, all that type of defense, we can win a lot of January football.
And we give Mahomes the ball only 7 times,
Right,
not
right.
12.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because
Yep.
you're giving Derrick Henry the ball and you're pounding, long drives.
Yeah.
You know, you're chewing up the clock and you're not getting that many opportunities. And if you have a defense, you're going to stop them on half of those few opportunities. Now you will limit their scoring.
Absolutely.
Look, nothing's changed in this league for 50 years. If a coach can run the ball down your throat, he will gladly run the ball down your throat because, like Jimmy used to tell me all the time, Jimmy used to say to us always, 3 things happen in passing, and 2 of them are bad.
That's right.
That's why we run the ball.
That's right.
And that's the reason why. And that's now Baltimore and Tennessee and San Francisco. They're going to bring sexy back, which is running.
I'm with you 100%.
You know? By the way, tell the folks all of the running backs that you've had because you're Mr. Running Back in the draft.
All right, you're going to get me in trouble because I'm going to forget some folks. Well, so running backs of note, right? So we'll say Maurice Jones-Drew, he kind of started it off, right? Then we signed, after Maurice, we signed Matt Forte. From there,
he's a Bears fan.
We signed Kendall Hunter, who had a short-lived career because of injury. But Kendall was on his way for sure. We had Evan Royster out of Penn State, who got drafted by the Redskins. Had a short career, but he did some special things while he was there. Of course, Jordan Howard. Now finished up a year with Philly. Also, drafted by the Bears. Should have stayed. I mean, probably would have helped Mitch out a little bit, but it is what it is. Tevin Coleman, Atlanta, now in San Francisco. Of course, Le'Veon Bell, probably one of the best certainly in the history of the game to have done it.
Mo Jones-Drew?
I started out with Mo.
You did.
Started out with Reese. And just to name a few. James White. I failed to mention James White.
There you go. Just a couple.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. And half those guys weren't big names coming out of college.
Most of my guys aren't.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, literally. We try to – look, with the running back, from my way of thinking, the running back is easy.
Well, the guy you're going after is big now.
Oh, they look at you. Look, my position is this. Give me the guy who had very little to work with in college as a running back, who had to create.
Right.
Then I know what he's likely to be on Sunday. I'm unimpressed with that guy who's running behind a quasi-NFL offensive lineman in college.
Richardson?
Unimpressed with guys like that because we know the holes don't look like that on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. The run lanes are fleeting, and they're very quick.
It's like quarterbacks in college. Their windows are sliding glass doors.
How about that?
And in the NFL, it's a bathroom window.
It's a bathroom window, right? Yeah. And so we do a chart when we do our pre-draft marketing, team-focused pre-draft marketing. We always do a touchdowns per touch ratio. How many times does the player have to touch the ball before he ends up in the end zone? And typically, you find those guys like Matt Forte at Tulane. Who the hell is Matt Forte, right? Matt Forte, this is the funny thing. When he was at Tulane, there was for about a 3-week period, there was a Heisman Trophy mention of Matt nationally. And so ESPN took their cameras onto the campus and said, what about Matt Forte for Heisman Trophy this year? And you know what the student body would respond? That, Who? Exactly. And all he did was go out and have a Hall of Fame career. When Maurice Jones-Drew came out, it was Reggie Bush. It was the other running back. Who was the other running back for SC?
He might have
bigger
been
running back.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. The kid that went to the Titans.
Titans, exactly.
Yeah, the big kid that he had weight issues. I know who you're talking about.
Those were all the talk of the draft, right?
Yes.
When Le'Veon came out, it was Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy.
Yeah.
And so, again, these, you couldn't name, no disrespect to the Bruins line at the time, but you couldn't name a UCLA Bruin offensive lineman who was going to be drafted.
Right.
You couldn't name a Tulane lineman who was going to be drafted. Yet these guys were phenomenally successful, Matt and Maurice, in college, which then suggested that, okay, once you get behind an actual NFL line,
you'll be really good.
Right. And that's what it proved to be. So we try to go after guys who've done a whole hell of a lot with little on Saturday at that position. And typically those guys, Big Ten, one of the not major, Big Ten's a major conference, but some of the mid-major conferences you'll find good backs, like Jordan Howard out of Indiana, Tevin Coleman out of Indiana, So, yeah, that's what we tend to look for. Guys who have exceptional college performances but not a lot of help around them.
Agent Adisa Bakari joining us here on the program. All right, let's wrap it up with this because I know I've had you on long enough already. I've taken up a ton of your time.
We can do this all day.
I know.
We're going to do it later on tonight over cigars.
We always do it over cigars, exactly. So let me ask you, what's changed in recruiting for you now with players? What's the difference now than it was 10, 20 years ago?
So we talk about this all. That's a great question. And so indulge me a little bit to kind of talk about this. A lot has changed. I will say on the front end, while we see a lot of and I'm going to speak to these changes, while we experience them being on the recruiting trail, fortunately, because we put so much stock in the character of the families that we're recruiting, because we don't just recruit players, we sign families, right? We tend still to get the same type of player every year. And because we've had the success that we've had over the past 19 years, I don't have to hit a home run with every guy. I just need to know you're going to be a good football player. Antoine Bethea, 6th-round draft pick, has done nothing but start for the past 14 years.
Guys had a monster career.
Or Tyrod Taylor and drafted in the 6th round. So we're signing guys who we think, one, have the maturity to be able to withstand the bright lights of the NFL. So one of the things that has compromised the possibility of these young players to mature into long-term professional athletes, professional football players, is social media, because the light is bright all the time. Right? And everybody is searching for fame before they actually become famous. Right? And so when we're in the living rooms oftentimes, we're hearing more conversation about this, i.e. brand building, my brand, and you haven't touched on the what brand are we talking about? Score some touchdowns first. The marketing stuff comes with, the popularity, the celebrity comes with the success on the field. So the one thing that's changing, and this is partly your side of the whole aisle, as it were, we're hearing this notion, everything is formulaic and you don't need an agent. There's a lot of that chatter, and that chatter gets into the rooms of the families' living rooms and some of these college locker rooms, and players think that the marketing agent is the most important thing. Here's what I know. Try to transition into a $20 billion industry without real business advice and see how long that's going to last you.
Yeah. Look, or how much they take advantage of.
Or how much you're going to be all day long. Remember, this is big business, and the goal of any big business is what? To get more value for as little money as possible.
I'm glad that the Dolphins did it, okay, before I say this, because obviously I don't care. I say whatever the hell's on my mind. The agent for Devontae Parker, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing, bro? You signed him to a 2-year contract? He just had to prove himself 1 year. That way you have if he does prove, you've got leverage. Now you don't, and now you risk keeping him on that 2-year deal, and the second year that if he gets injured again, he gets nothing. So you took a 4-year deal, which again, I'm super happy as a Dolphins fan. It's super cap friendly, all that stuff, but I'm just being objective. What are you doing, my brother?
Here's what
What
I'll
are you doing? I know you can't
specifically
comment on that, but I get
the
it.
Dolphins and every other team, and 31 other teams will do what's in the best interest of that organization.
That's right.
So it's incumbent upon that player to hire business counsel, i.e. an agent, so he can have his business interests represented at the same level that the team is. So what I'll say is this: 50% of the first round still don't make it to second contracts. About 70% of the entire draft, 65 to 70% of the entire draft, don't make it to a second contract. We still have a league in which 3 years is the average career. So what we're talking about are 21 and 20. By the way,
that's why their CBA negotiations go to crap, because most of those guys are like, I'm not here for a long time. I want my money now,
How
bro.
about that?
No. Yeah.
So,
but I've been around this long enough to know this.
The notion that a 21 or 22-year-old young man can enter a $20 billion industry where he makes up the executive population of that industry. You have owners, and the players are the executives in this business. And that you can operate in this industry without legitimate business counsel? Please. That's ludicrous. And so
they don't do it.
You could be in my living room.
The billionaires don't do it.
You think the owners have lawyers to handle intellectual property issues or contract? Of course they do. And you think you can go in there and self-negotiate? Come on, guy. Right, what did it say? A lawyer who represents himself has a fool for a client.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Okay, and so in any event, the biggest change we see is this depreciation in the value of good counsel. And for every player who tries, or every parent and player who tries to belittle the importance of good counsel, of good agents, it's like watching a train wreck before the train even departs from the station. You know what's coming. Right? And I ask these players, the prospective players all the time, prospective clients all the time, what success, name one. They'll say Zuckerberg. Give me another successful, Jeff Bezos, Amazon. Okay. Name me one successful business person that operates without business counsel. So why should you be any different? So for me, the biggest change is this notion that, quote, I don't need an agent, I can go it alone. Self-preservation comes in. I'm admittedly, right, I'm biased, but the notion that you can operate in this business without an agent is literally ludicrous, to put it mildly. So that's the biggest change.
And by the way, the name we forgot was Len Whale White.
There you go.
It's Len.
White. It's Lindale.
You got it, right? You got it. You got it.
It took me a second.
You had a weight issue, so yes. It was Lendale, but we call him Len Wales.
That's
so
right.
Yes.
And then who turned out to be the running back of that class? Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah. All right. So
Been a blast, man.
It's been, yes. Adisa, as always, my brother. You kind of surprised me that you were going to come on like this.
Listen, I'm sitting here and I'm having a bag of chips. My wife put your earmuffs on. They're vegetable chips if you're listening. And I hear this voice. I'm like, I could be only one guy. And I look to my right. I said, look, now's the time. I need to be on this show.
You're the best, my man. You are the best.
Appreciate it.
Adisa Bakari, baby. And we'll see him soon because, Dolphins will draft his running back.
My man.
There you go. Adisa, you be good, man. I'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks so much.
You got it. That is Adisa Bakari, man, right there. Love it.